with rugby. I had started rugby my sophomore year, really to stay conditioned for football, fix up some tackling techniques. Before I got that call, I was going to go to West Point, play rugby, and under Coach Sherman, possibly play football in the off season if it would worked out.
You rugby punt?
I don't rugby punt. I don't know if I can boot it like I could a couple years ago, but maybe I'll talk to Coach Eckler about that.
What was it like for you to hear like the stuff that they made public here, the video that Nebraska put out? I'm sure there was more to it than that on the field, but for you to hear the praise that Coach Rule had for you within the team, like when he's talking to the team and saying, you know, I can't even have this guy out there with the twos. What's that like for you?
Yeah, out on the field, Coach Rule, he was. It was really nice to hear those kind words in front of the whole team. That meant a lot for me to hear that from my coach. We have a great relationship, and so for him to say that in front of the team, really meant a lot, and it showed how much he trusted me. And I just appreciate those kind words.
What did your close family, friends, what was their reaction to hearing news that you got?
Right after practice, I called my mom and my dad. My dad was working, so I couldn't get him right on the phone. But my mom picked up the phone, and she was on FaceTime, and I told her about the news, and I was really excited about it. And then she started crying right away, and I was trying not to be emotional. I wanted to stay strong for her, but between her and I, this was something that I was really shooting for. I was really striving for. Years ago, when I was walking on here, and I was not gonna go to West Point, which is free school, I told my mom that I appreciate her, and that she was going to let me have this opportunity to continue to play football, which I love, and that I was going to get a scholarship so she wouldn't have to pay for my school. And that's, I think, why it became so emotional, because it was just me grinding and calling her and checking up on her and telling her the news of how I'm doing. And then finally the best call was that day, and I got to tell her that I got it, and it was done.
Coach Rule mentioned you weren't on the roster or the fall camp roster at the start last year. What were you thinking at that point, and what kept you going? Did you still think I'm close to breaking through here?
Yeah, that beginning of this fall, it was a mix up where I was in the 105. I was on in fall camp, but I had a head injury one day, and I got kicked out. And there was a mix up between who was going to be taken out of the 105, because another teammate also got hurt that day. And so they mixed up me being kicked out of the 105. And 24 hours later, they figured it out, and I was back in it. And at that moment where I was taken out, it felt heartbreaking. I was definitely really scared about my future with the team, not being in the 105. And but Troy Vincent was there with me when he told me the news about it was just a mix-up, and I was still back in it. And he was really supportive and helpful, and it was just a little scare, but I was back in it the next day.
How much of a role model is guys like Luke Reimer and John Bullock been for you in terms of being linebackers who are roughly your size that excelled at Nebraska?
Yeah, John Bullock was somebody that I looked up to since day one. He was also a former walk-on, and he's just a gritty guy. He was also a really great guy. He and Snodgrass and Nick Henrich were always helpful with me. I would always ask them for something. I'd have to ask them separate questions because I didn't want to seem like I was too annoying to them. But John, for 2 years, was always a mentor to me, and I always looked up to him and watched his style of play, try to pick up things that he did well. And like you said, we're similar sizes, so I tried to excel at what he was good at and learn from him as much as I could.
Why do you feel like you've made such a jump in the last 3 months?
I think my preparation. I meet with Dr. Stout quite often, and we just talk about mentally attacking everything. And we use these trigger words between us of what's next. Obviously, is a team one, and then send me from the book of Isaiah, chapter 6. It's for me to realize that I'm capable of doing this, and I'm meant to be here for a reason. So send me. I can do anything through God, and that's just kind of how I view things. And I prepare myself mentally before each practice, and I try to remember that this is a blessing, and it's a blessing to be out here. So,
what prompted you to make that dramatic switch from going instead of West Point and rugby to Nebraska and football?
I've played football all my life. My two older brothers played rugby. One played for the Eagles, and so I kind of wanted to do my own thing. And yeah, I loved the opportunity Nebraska had. They have great facilities here and great fan base. Another thing was I was in a boys choir a long time ago, and this was like a God moment, my mom calls it. I was in a boys choir, and we toured Nebraska when I was like 10 years old, and we would sing around all of Lincoln, and we would go to Colorado, and it was a big tour, and we actually toured this facility when I was about 10 years old, and we had photos of me running out onto the field when I was a kid, so it was like a God moment, how could I pass this up kind of thing.
What's it been like watching some of your teammates who maybe they're not guaranteed to be on the 105 and they just kept going with it, and obviously they're going to be out there Saturday?
Yeah, it's hard to see them because they work so hard, and I try to be there for them. I try to help them out, go through plays, talk to them, use things that when I was struggling with this specific detail, I would use my techniques, how I figured to get around it. I try to teach that to them. But everybody's been working so hard, man, and it's hard to see this is where we're going with the NCAA and the new rules. I just do my best to try to help as many as I can, and hopefully every single walk-on non-105 member can play really well during this upcoming game and make themselves get a spot. So,
What do you think of Butler's defense, the way he calls defense?
It's very aggressive. I like the fact that he blitzes me, and I've been able to utilize those opportunities to blitz to get better. I love how hands-on he is with the defense too. He's always, in our learning periods, he's always there to teach us things for any scenario. So if we have any scenario, it's always covered with Butler. It's very similar to what we did last year, but obviously he's got his little tweaks to it, and I'm excited to see how it goes this upcoming season.
Feels like he puts a lot of emphasis on playing the ball the right way, like hand placement and hand fighting and all those things when the ball's right there. How has he kind of tweaked that at all?
We have specific drills to reach for the ball when we're rushing the passer. So every time you see our arms go up as we're running by the quarterback, we're emphasizing small details like that. Where when we come free, we're gonna rush, break up the quarterback's arm, and make a forced fumble. Those little details that he taught us, I can't wait to see come season to work out.
When did you maybe start to feel like you started to belong on the practice field? Like, did that take a little while to accomplish there?
I belonged right away. I knew what I was capable of. I knew what I could do. Coach Rule never made it seem like I was a walk-on. He never made it seem like somebody else was a starter, scholarship guy. We always were treated equal. Same with Coach White, same with Coach Butler, same with Rob. Everybody treated me the same, and it was just me having to understand that I am just as good as John Bullock. I'm just as good as all these guys that were ahead of me playing really well, and that I myself have to believe it before everybody else can believe it. My family believed it. I have to believe it, and that's kind of how I've kind of come to realize, like, this is where I stand and this is how good I can be, and it's how I've been able to do so well these past couple months.
You mentioned how it's hard to see, some of the guys, fighting for roster spots right now, and with the 105. How, I guess, like, frustrating is it for you to know that in the future there may not be many other journeys or stories like yours, just because that's the direction that the sport is going in?
Like, no more walk-ons to scholarship players. Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
in the future, how frustrating is that for you, just because you've been through
It is frustrating because there are a lot of guys who work hard and can be can create a story like I've created, John created, and it's unfortunate that football won't become that anymore with these new rules. I think it is just frustrating, really, to see how that's gonna unfold.
What do you think are, I guess, like the benefits if something were to, I guess, miraculously change or whatever in the future to allow more walk-ons, more spots?
More benefits for walk-ons to continue. Yeah, people get their shot, people get their opportunity. Through high school, somebody could have had injuries or something tampering with them and their ability to not get good film, but they're still really good players. And to eliminate the walk-on is just you don't get those gritty guys to just fight for what they know that they can do. And it's unfortunate that that's where it's going. I just hope some of my players, my friends, my buddies get to sneak right in there, because I know some of these guys are capable to be a scholarship player or a guy in the 105, and I love to see them succeed. So,
Thanks, Jay.
all right, thank you.
Jacob.